Well, hello. And for today's Tea with the Shepherd, I thought I would do something a little bit more personal and just share a story. So, a few years ago, probably 3 or 4 by now, I had gone to a special service and I had taken my dad to it. And going there, I was really struggling with several things that I needed God's answers for. And I had felt like God was being really quiet in that season and just wasn't hearing his voice, or I was confused if I was hearing the right voice, and I was just really struggling. Also, my dad has a sickness that I was praying and kind of hoping, expecting. Actually, it was more than kind of hoping. I was expecting that there would be an opportunity for him to be healed during that service. Well, we get there, and it was 2 or 3 days of this event, and every service that went by, there wasn't a call for healing. There wasn't a call for the different things that was going on in my life personally. It was focused more on salvations and prodigal sons, which had not been the case at any of the other previous events they had done. So I was really struggling with it. I was going, God, I was expecting to hear from you, and I really needed to hear from you this weekend. I desperately needed answers. I need to know if I'm listening to your voice, if I'm hearing your voice correctly. And I just didn't get that. And so it came down to the last service. I was frustrated, and nothing again had changed, and hadn't heard anything from the Lord during the service. Nobody had spoken to us. And this is a massive group amount of people. I'm not saying that I was expecting for us to be singled out, but at the same time, I know that God can. So anyway, we went back to where we were staying, and the next morning we got up and got ready to leave. And it was prompted on my heart at that point to go back to the church. And I wasn't sure if it was me, if I was just hoping that somebody would be at the church and that would speak. And maybe that's why I was supposed to go back to the church. So we went back. My dad stayed in the car, and I went to the doors, and the doors were locked. I was also preparing to preach on that Mother's Day the next day. And I didn't know what to do. So I took out my notes that I was going over and studying back over them. I'm going, I don't know what you want me to do here, God. Well, why am I here? All the doors were locked. So I went and sat in a little area that was situated as kind of a patio area outside the church. Now, there was people inside the church. They were still closing up the event, but nobody was opening the doors. So I went and sat in this area. There was no trees right here. And while I'm going over my notes, suddenly this bird begins to fly and swoop down, gets right in front of my face, and then veers off. Not a big deal, except that it kept doing it over and over and over. It would go up to the top of the power line and swoop down, and it would brush. I would literally feel his wings passing by my ear. And it was in complete attack mode over and over and over again. There's no trees. I'm not sitting by any nest. And I'm watching this bird. It goes up to the top of the steeple, comes back down. And finally, after a while, I'm like, there's no nest. I don't see anything where there's a nest here. It's not possible for a nest to be here. But whatever the reason is, this bird doesn't like me right here. So I decided to move several feet away and went to a whole nother section of where it was outside the church. I thought, well, maybe I'm just whatever. I don't know what God's trying to do, if he was wanting to move or not. So I just moved over, not really giving it much thought. And again, this bird comes and does it again. And then this time it sits right in front of me on top of the table, and it stares at me, and then it begins to fly around my head and shoom, flying, swooping, going at me constantly. I do not understand this bird. What on earth has gotten into this thing? So after a while, I finally give up trying to study my notes because I can't think now at this point. And I go back and I sit in the car with my dad. And my dad asked, so did you hear from God what you were trying to find out? And I said, no. But the weirdest thing, and I began to tell him about the bird. And I just sat there, and my dad and I just sat in quiet for a little bit. And my dad asked, well, do you think he was saying anything through it? And I paused again. I said, actually, yeah, I think I do. And from that moment, the Lord just began to pour over me and say, you've been looking for people to validate to speak into your life, to say, to confirm the words that you've heard, or this Christian fortune teller in a way to speak to you and say that God sees you and he's used a person. But this whole time, I've been right in your face. I've been telling you, you've been hearing me, you've seen me, you feel me. I am all around you and you know it. Why are you looking for somebody else to tell you? I see you and I hear you and I've spoken to you. I've been right in front of you, guiding you and pushing you where you need to go. So stop looking for validation from other people and just listen to my voice that you actually know very well. And so this is something that I have really taken to heart over this time. In fact, it ended up getting incorporated into my sermon that next morning because God does see us. And sometimes we do look to people that we believe that are stronger in the faith when God has been right there the whole time saying, I am speaking to you. I have been right in front of you this whole time. Why are you looking for other sources? You know my word. You study my word. You hear me speaking. Just take that and stop trying to fill the void. There's not even any void. I've been right there. So stop trying to find it in other sources. So I hope this encourages you today. Maybe you've been doing the same thing, but God does see you. And he saw me that day. He's been seeing me this whole time. He is the God who sees, just like he spoke to Hagar when she felt broken, she felt lost, she felt confused and abused. And in the middle of all that, and in her desert time, not knowing how she's even going to take care of her son, she's expecting her son to die and her to die in the desert as well. God places an angel there and says, I am the God who sees. I see you and I will take care of you and I will take care of your son. You don't have to worry about who's going to be the source for you, just like because she had Abraham for a long time. But now she was completely on her own. And God was saying, just depend on me. I will take care of things. You've been dependent upon others for a long time. But now, know that I do see you. And you can depend on me. And I will take you through this. You will survive and you will thrive. So, may you be encouraged and blessed. God sees you.